Hello, Matthew Williams here, bringing you a quick video to talk about Polly Carson. I met Polly tonight. Didn't really want to meet Polly tonight, but I met Polly nonetheless in nowhere else but the Barge Inn. My God, shock horror. What is Polly Carson doing in the Barge Inn? Because Polly Carson was banned from going in the Barge Inn by the owner of the Barge Inn, who said that anyone who was connected with the failed community project, which got £450,000, probably near on £500,000, £500,000 of national lottery money to put into a community project which then failed, leaving hundreds of thousands of pounds owing in debts to not only the VAT man but suppliers and staff and all sorts of stuff. There was even questions as to, the way the money was used. But hey, I'm not going to go into that, because that's just stuff that's been in the press, okay? And I must be clear about this. That stuff has been in the press. People were saying, where has the money gone? All that crap, yeah? Anyway, not interested in that, but what I am interested in is one of the members of the committee was there in the pub. And she came up and stood right next to me and ordered a drink and, was basically, I think, tried to rub my nose in the fact that she was in the pub and hadn't been asked to leave. So I pointed out that she wasn't meant to be there. And she said, oh yes, I've got full permission to be here. And I said, no, I don't think you have. I think you've got permission from the landlord, who is a tenant, not the owner, who is the person who has said that you are not to come back in. And she said, oh, what's it got to do with you? And a few of her friends who were there, a couple of them piped up and said, it's a long time ago, Matt. No, not a long time ago for me, because that motherfucker tried to get me framed with that fucker Shelley. And as you know, CirclemakersTV fans may remember that basically tried to fit me up for a number of things that I hadn't done, even then leaving ecstasy tablets around the house. If you remember all that, remember that, yeah? Leaving those around the house so that when the police came, that it might sort of, some way stick on me, like I'm going to go leaving ecstasy tablets on surfaces all around the place. Little bit odd. And as I mentioned on the programme, this was Shelley's lesbian lover, if I'm to believe what my solicitor told me. Still don't know about all that, a bit weird, but that's what I was told. Anyway, if you follow the story, Polly Carson was the farmer who used to farm the East Field with her husband Tim Carson. They've now separated. But Polly is a big believer in crop circles and didn't like being told that people were making them. So has kind of gone on her own sort of like vengeful mission to try and fuck up circle makers as much as she possibly can. Which is fair enough, because she's had some success. I've got to be honest, she's been quite successful. I'll give her a credit, She's had to lie and fucking connive and really be low down and shitty in order to do it. But, she has had some success. Hats off to you. But one of the things I mentioned in the programme, there's a lot mentioned in the programme. Go and watch CirclemakersTV. It's called Shelley Shit Special, I think. If you want to look it up, CirclemakersTV, one word, Shelley Shit Special. And, avail yourself of all that information. But here's the point. I was in the pub. There she is, standing to this side of me, to my right. And she basically says that she has a right to be there. I challenge this and say, look, you don't. And people are saying, oh, why just leave it? And I said, well, no, because she's rubbing my nose in it. She's standing right here, and, I'm trying to have a drink, and she's just trying to rub my nose in it, and it's ruining my enjoyment of being in the pub by having her here, and I just don't, so anyway, it was kind of like, oh, what's it got to do with you? And I said, well, look, you were responsible, you, with the others who were here, you're responsible for the pub going into bankruptcy, owing hundreds of thousands of pounds. That's why you were banned, and as far as I'm aware, nothing has changed there. There's hundreds of thousands. We're talking about £200,000 of money owed. So therefore, and she said, no, all that money's been paid back. And I said, really? Funny that, because I haven't read anything about that money being paid back and cleared up in the press. I haven't read anything about that. So and she said, yes, every last penny that was owed has been paid by members of the committee out of their own pockets. What? Hang on a minute. You're telling me, right, out of 4 or 5 members of the committee that they all had between them £200,000 in the bank, right? And they put their hand in their pocket to pay off the debt of a limited company? Huh? Hello? Hello? Why would you take your own money to pay off the debt of a limited company? Why would you do that? Because you don't actually have to, because it's a limited company. The word limited means limited liability, which means if it fucks up, you don't have to bear the burden, which is pretty shitty on the taxpayer who has to pick up the bill. But ultimately, you know, when things go tits up, company directors walk away. They might get a slight slap on the wrist, but the one thing that they don't really ever do, I mean, it's very unheard of, but I could be wrong, is they don't ever pay the frigging bills back. But okay, according to Polly, who I'm sure 100%, I'm absolutely certain that she's telling the truth here. She wouldn't lie about something like this. She said that they paid their money out of their own pockets. And do you know what she said? She said because they're totally honourable people. Okay. So I said to her, really? Honourable? I said, like drug dealers, is it? You know, is that honourable then? She said, well, who's that? And I said, well, you are, for a start. She said, what? I said, well, you're a drug dealer, aren't you? You're a drug dealer because you used to grow marijuana and you used to give it to your son. And she said, well, I don't see what it's got to do with anything. I said, no, but you used to grow marijuana and you used to give it to your son. That is known as drug dealing, yes? And she said, oh, well... And she pulled a chair back and she stood in front of a whole group of people, so there were many witnesses to this, and she said, all right, I grew marijuana, yes, so what? I don't care about it, so what? I might have grown marijuana, but what's wrong with it anyway? So she said, yes, she grew it. What's wrong with it? There's nothing wrong with it. Well, there is actually, because it's called criminal activity. I hate to break this to you. I mean, maybe nobody ever told you this. I mean, I'm sorry to be the one to tell you, Polly, but do you know what? You know, growing marijuana is actually illegal. It's illegal. And if you give it to somebody, then it's known as drug dealing. Even if you give them a teeny weeny bit, even if you're smoking your own stuff, and then you go, would you like a puff? You're a drug dealer. Okay? That's the way the law works. So Polly Carson, right, I think basically has admitted that my information, which I believe to be correct, and seems to be pretty close. I mean, you know, there's a lot of smoke here. You know, we haven't got to the final details, but she's admitted she grew dope, which is just like I said on CirclemakersTV. She grew dope. What I was told, she used to give it to her son, who likes to smoke dope. And her daughter is also very much a drug head, likes coke, likes ecstasy, likes marijuana. You know, that's what they do. Maybe those ecstasy pills came from her daughter to Shelley, who are good friends, you know, to put in the house, because, you know, her daughter is into that type of stuff. So I don't know if that's the case, but there we go. But the point is, wow. Wow. Could I make this stuff? Could I make this stuff up? Could I make this shit up? Possibly. Yep. Yeah, I could make this shit up. But luckily there were witnesses. So, what I'm going to say now is, isn't it fucking funny? Isn't it funny? Ha ha. I'm laughing. Look. Ha ha ha. Isn't it funny, right, that somebody like Polly, the farmer, or the farmer's wife, used to go, these bloody people who say they make it circles, criminal activity on my land, criminal activity on my land, these criminals, and then went to see my landlord and tried to get me evicted. He's a criminal living in your house. He's a criminal. Why don't you evict the criminal? Evict him. Evict him. Right? Yeah? And then frame me up for all this criminal fucking stuff. Oh, Polly Carson is a criminal. Bunch of fucking hypocrites, the whole fucking lot of them. The whole fucking lot of them. She's just amazing. So anyway, bottom line was, I've upset a few people at the barge by pointing out that she shouldn't be there. Because of the kerfuffle, and I was asked to leave, and I think this may mean I am not welcome back again. We shall see. We shall wait to see what 24 hours does, and this video, which will probably inflame things a bit more, but I am prepared fully for whatever happens, because, you know, what happens, happens. I mean, you know, I have been threatened with legal action. I have been arrested. I've had police officers looking up my arse because of Polly Carson and fucking Shelley. Yeah? Fife. Shelley fucking Fife. Yeah? I've had all that. I've been accused of assault. It was all dropped, but I had that because of her. And yeah, baby. Those people who said, oh, it was a long time ago. No. For me, it was like fucking yesterday. Yeah? It's like fucking pinching my skin here, like that, and feeling it really, really properly, like as if that's really my skin and I'm feeling it, yeah? It's as real to me as fucking that, yeah? So when I'm forced to stand next to somebody in a pub, I had let it go years ago. I used to say hello to Polly, I used to put the bullshit aside, all the fucking trying to get me out of the house, I put it to one side, but not tonight. I decided no fucking way, right? And it's caused a major ruction up the barge, right? Like I say, I think I'm not welcome now, because certain people have sided with her over what she has basically done to me over the years, which has caused me to point out that she shouldn't be there because of what she's done to the pub. So, damn me if you must. That's all I'm going to say is, I think that certain people should look at their priorities with this situation, yeah? Because they are being played for fucking suckers, yeah? They have been reeled in, yeah? Buttered up with nice words, yeah? Oh yes, you're very good, you're very good. And all I'm going to say to these certain people is, you have been milked like a fucking sucker, right? And now you're probably realising it. Because this shit is not going to simply be wiped clean and wiped away because people would rather it be that way. This shit is going to get dealt with, yeah, the way I normally fucking deal with things, which is on here, on YouTube. So you heard it here first, and now we've got a room full of people who heard her saying that she likes to grow cannabis and she's done it, and yeah, she's loving it. She grows cannabis, yeah? And that's not something you just do by accident, is it? You know, it's not something that just happens, yeah? You've got to be calculating and know what you're fucking doing to be able to grow that, yeah? You've got to go, it's not something you just do by chance, yeah? You really got to really want to know and want to do that, yeah? Now, I don't have a problem with drugs per se, but what I do have a problem with is fucking hypocrites. So thank you for watching, and good night.